Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about ending the war in Ukraine.
Ah,
But, and here's the kicker, like ending it super fast.
super fast.
Super fast. In a day.
Whoa. Okay, hold on.
Yeah. One day, that's the claim.
That's a bold statement to make.
Right.
What?
We found this YouTube video,
Yeah.
right? And it's got this, well, prominent political figure, you know the type.
Yeah.
And they're saying they could just settle the whole thing like that.
Just like that.
Boom, done. War over.
Yeah.
Like snapping your fingers.
Wow. I mean, the confidence is impressive for sure.
It's a lot to unpack, right? So we
Yeah.
got to, dive in.
Let's get into it.
This whole thing, this war, it's not simple.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
You've got history, like way back history, all tangled up in it.
Absolutely. Centuries of it shaping the conflict. You can't ignore that.
Then you've got these, like, global powerhouses,
Oh, yeah. Major players, all with their own agendas.
all pushing and pulling. And then, in the middle of it all, are people. Millions of them.
Real people whose lives are being upended.
Exactly. So, when someone comes along and says, oh, I can fix it, easy peasy.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. Like, is it really that simple? Because this video, this person, they even say,
What'd they say?
and I quote, I know exactly what to say to each of them.
Exactly what to say, huh?
Like a magic spell or something.
It sounds a bit like, they think there's this one perfect phrase and that's all it takes.
Yeah, like a silver bullet solution.
Right. And history tells us it's rarely that straightforward.
You're totally right. It's like, remember trying to solve a Rubik's Cube?
Oh, yeah. Hours of frustration.
This is like a Rubik's Cube on steroids.
A geopolitical Rubik's Cube with lives hanging in the balance.
Exactly. And everyone's got their own idea of what the solved puzzle should look like.
Absolutely. Different goals, different priorities.
So let's, break it down a little.
Okay, sure.
What are some of the big things that make this war so hard to, well, unwind?
All right. Well, you got to look at the big players, right?
Right.
So Russia, they're worried about security, for one. They feel threatened.
Threatened? By who?
Well, they see NATO expanding closer and closer to their borders.
Ah, okay.
And they're not happy about it. They see it as a direct threat.
Makes sense.
Then there's the historical ties to Ukraine.
Right, they used to be part of the Soviet Union.
Exactly. So there's this feeling for some in Russia that Ukraine should be aligned with them, not the West.
So it's not just about military stuff. It's about, like, identity and influence, too.
Exactly. It's about control, power, and who gets to call the shots in the region.
So where does Ukraine fit into all this?
Well, they want what most countries want, the freedom to make their own choices.
Right, self-determination.
Yeah, they want to choose their own alliances, decide their own future without someone else dictating it.
That's totally understandable.
It is. And they see Russia's actions as a huge violation of their independence, their sovereignty.
So you got these two countries with these deep-seated needs and fears.
Bumping up against each other.
And then you bring in the West, who are backing Ukraine.
Right, they're providing support, both moral and material.
And that just adds another layer to the whole thing.
Definitely. It makes the stakes even higher.
It's like, those nature documentaries where they show tectonic plates colliding.
Oh, yeah, creating mountains and earthquakes.
Feels kind of like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of pressure building up with no easy release.
Okay, so we've got this tangled web of history, power struggles, and conflicting goals.
Making it a very tough situation to resolve.
Right. And yet, this person in the video, they talk about getting along well with all the players.
Oh, right. They mentioned that.
Yeah. So it made me think, like, maybe personal relationships do matter in these situations.
That's an interesting question. It's easy to get caught up in the big picture, the politics and the strategies. But at the end of the day, it's people making these decisions. Leaders with their own personalities, their own quirks.
So having a good rapport, being able to connect on a personal level, that could help.
It could. Think about it. When you trust someone, when you feel like they understand you, you're more likely to be open to their ideas to compromise.
So maybe that's part of what this political figure is banking on?
Maybe, but we have to remember, international diplomacy isn't just about having a friendly chat over tea.
True.
There are national interests at stake, strategic calculations, economic considerations. It's a whole complex web.
So even if you have great personal chemistry, it doesn't guarantee a solution.
Exactly. You can't just charm your way out of a conflict of this magnitude.
All right, so circling back to this bold claim of ending the war in a day,
Yeah.
it's looking pretty, well, overly optimistic. given everything we've talked about.
I'd say so, yeah.
It's like saying you can juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope.
A very vivid image.
It's possible, maybe, but the odds aren't exactly in your favor.
And the consequences of failure could be pretty severe.
Right, which brings up another point.
What's that?
Let's say, hypothetically, this person does try for a quick resolution.
Okay.
What should we, like the public, be watching out for?
That's a great question to keep in mind. I think one thing to consider is whether a speedy agreement would actually address the root causes of the conflict.
Right, because if you just paper over the cracks...
You're setting yourself up for problems down the line. Tensions could resurface, maybe even lead to another conflict in the future.
So a quick fix might not be a lasting fix.
Exactly. It's also worth thinking about what concessions might be made to reach such a rapid resolution.
Concessions, like one side giving something up.
Exactly. Could one side be pressured into accepting terms they're not truly happy with?
And could that lead to resentment, instability, even more problems down the road?
Those are all important questions to consider. This isn't just a theoretical exercise. We're talking about the lives of real people, the future of a region.
So as we watch the situation unfold, we need to be critical, think for ourselves, and not just take things at face value.
Absolutely. Look beyond the headlines, examine the different perspectives, and don't be afraid to ask tough questions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. Always happy to dig into these complex issues.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.